Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be looking at all the Democrats who have called on Biden to end his presidential bid for president, and we're going to be looking at how that impacts his campaign, the betting for the Democratic nominee in the polling market, uh, Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, my prediction right now, and if Biden does drop out, we're going to look at my prediction for a Harris versus Trump scenario. So, and yeah, we do have Sami Talks Politics with us again. Sami?
Hey, um,
So
so
basically, we're just going to start off with looking at who has actually already called on Biden to end his presidential bid. You can start with this,
yeah,
Sami.
we have a lot of moderate, a lot of like establishment, well-known Democrats coming out in support of Biden dropping out, which is kind of surprising, given that you'd expect it to be some of the more extreme Democrats and like anti-establishment ones who would come out first. But it seems like, the more establishment ones are really taking note of how it seems like Biden's going to lose to Donald Trump. Um, and normally I would say like the pressure um, is not going to go away. Like the gears are starting to turn and they're not going to stop. But it seems like Biden just simply um, does not want to drop out. You can argue whether that's because of his ego or because he thinks genuinely he's the only one who can beat Donald Trump. But it seems like he's not going to drop out. But there's still a whole list of officials who are asking for him to drop out. There's Julian Castro, who's of from Texas. He was the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. He was a 2020 presidential candidate. He's fairly well known, fairly establishment. There's a couple of senators. There's Mark Warner, who's senator from Virginia. Um, I think I was actually expecting a few more senators to come in, like Joe Manchin, um, to and like Angus King to join in. But it seems like it's just Mark Warner, who's again another establishment moderate Democrat, and then former Senator Tom Harkin, and then you've got a whole list of representatives, uh, just tons. The most surprising one, there's a few that like aren't really surprising, a few that like aren't
I'd say the
very
most surprising one is really
that
Jerry Nadler.
yeah, Jerry Nadler is extremely establishment. He's like if Adam Schiff called for Biden to drop out. He is like moderate and completely shocked me. There are a few that aren't, like Rashida Tlaib, for example. Um, Although that was more of like a protest. But you see a mix in the House of more establishment Democrats who are calling for him to drop out, and more extreme like anti-establishment Democrats. And then you can go even further and see that there is a lot of like former representatives, and then a couple former governors. Okay, one former governor.
And there's
There's
a
a governor
whole
of
list, a
Illinois.
whole gigantic list of
Oh yeah,
state
tons of state
legislators.
legislatures.
And then
Tons.
there's
Yeah.
just one mayor, city officials, and yeah, there's a bunch of also notable individuals, like a lot of Democratic donors. They want Biden to drop out,
Oh yeah.
but I mean,
Um.
this would probably impact the campaign in some way, but I don't think like maybe I don't think a couple senators and like a couple dozen, like maybe I don't think 2 dozen representatives and maybe a couple senators are going to actually make Biden lose by even more. I mean, sure it will like definitely decrease uh uh the morale in the Biden campaign because they are getting worried because if they don't even have the support of their of people from the establishment in their own party, how are they expected to win over people uh, who are voting for Trump?
And like there were basically two ways this could have gone. It was like we were at a crossroads a few days ago. Either like the movement starts to break down, or more people join in, like some of the senators that I was mentioning, and even more officials. And it seems like after that meeting with like the governors, and after Joe Biden continuously saying he'd need like a call from God or something to tell him to stop, it seems like the former is actually starting to happen, where it's just starting to break down.
And yeah, I mean, if we do look at my 2024 presidential prediction, which is, I would say, kind of. Oh, wait, no, that is not my presidential prediction. Sorry, that is not my presidential prediction. That was like my Trump best case from a couple days ago. Uh, but yeah, this is my 2024 presidential prediction. And well, to say the least, it's like not looking good for Donald Trump. I mean, Trump, he's
For Joe Biden.
winning every single swing state. Uh, Sorry, Michigan, I do have tilt in Nevada lean, but I have Trump winning every single swing state, and this honestly isn't even that uh, off. Because now, if we look at polls, the margin of error, now Trump's margins of winning is now out of the margin of error, which means those polls show Trump guaranteeing to win in those polls. Because polls have this thing called margin of error, and it's basically like uh, for example, if one poll has Trump up by 4 and Biden down by 4, and the let's say the margin of error is 5, then it could actually be a Biden win in that poll. Because if we take 4 and minus it by 5, it's -1, and that would mean Biden winning by 1. So yeah, now in all the margin of error in several polls with those margin of errors, it does show Trump's win out of those margin of errors.
Um, yeah, a case you could make is that in a lot of them, Donald Trump doesn't have the majority. So you could argue it could be a lot closer, given that like a lot of the undecideds could break for Biden, or a lot of the RFK support could fall apart later on. But even then, Trump still has a clear advantage. Like it seems like with basically every single main predictor that isn't like extremely biased for either side, basically everyone has it as 226 to 312, which is insane for an incumbent president.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we really saw this was the last time an incumbent uh, lost was Donald Trump, which was only 4 years ago. But Donald Trump didn't lose by, I'm pretty sure, this much, right? Wait, no, let me
Oh
see.
yeah, no.
Wait, Biden
He
won
only
almost.
lost if
No, no, no.
if 1%.
Biden had 312. I'm pretty sure 3-2, right? Oh, 303. Okay.
No, it was 306 because the map changed.
Oh, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like, yeah, it was so extremely close. Biden was supposed to be ahead in all these swing states, but if the country had gone like 1% to the right, Wisconsin would have gone red, Georgia would have gone red, Arizona would have gone red, which means it would have been 269 to 269, gone to the House, and Trump would have been president. So it
Yeah,
was so extremely close for what was supposed to have been this huge blue wave. The
yeah.
last time we saw an actual, yeah,
The last time an incumbent lost besides Donald Trump, by this big of a margin was George Bush, and I mean he did really bad. He like did not keep any of his promises. That read my lips, no more taxes thing. Well, let's just say he didn't do that, and well, he lost to this young, charismatic guy, Bill Clinton, and we're kind of seeing this, except that both of these guys are quite old, but Biden is that guy who's like not charismatic at all. He's like probably a couple years away from his deathbed.
I mean, like there's even a parallel there with the third party candidate,
Oh yeah,
which could
Ross
take a
Perot,
lot of the vote. Yeah, Ross Perot, and here RFK Jr. I don't think RFK Jr. has the same pull as Ross Perot. I don't think it's even close. I don't think he's going to get even like 5%. But I think he could do just enough for it to hurt Biden's campaign even more, you know?
yeah, I would say he's taking lots of voters from each sides, but I do think he leans to take more voters from Biden. But let's
Yeah.
look at what if Biden did drop out and Kamala Harris, the VP, was chosen as the nominee. I do think Kamala Harris does extremely horribly. Uh, yeah, she's black, but she doesn't really appeal with those voters. She's labeled as an extremist liberal, even though she's really not. She's not that much of a progressive. Not really a progressive. I just think that voters don't trust her. I mean, her approval is several points lower than Biden, and that's extremely hard to do, seeing how bad Biden is doing. And yeah, so I don't really think um the Democrats have any good options here. So the top three candidates besides Biden are really Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, and Gretchen Whitmer. I think Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom are going to lose to Trump. And Gretchen Whitmer, she announced that even if Biden did drop out, she would not run for the nomination.
Yeah, that's so like obscenely stupid because I mean Gavin Newsom could do okay, maybe he could win, but Gretchen Whitmer is the only candidate of those four who I think really like could genuinely beat Trump.
Yeah, but we can now go and head to the polling market where Biden has like retaken that majority, but only 61% in the betting for an incumbent president without a competitive primary season really shows how many Democrats do not support Biden. Biden at 61, Harris at 26, Whitmer and other at 6%. Michelle Obama, that's just insane, 5%. Gavin Newsom only at 3%. I do think Newsom would be higher, but whatever. And some people do still think people like RFK or Dean Phillips, will become the nominee. And yeah, so to sum this up, a bunch of Democrats they don't want Biden to run. A bunch of Democrats want to replace Biden with people like Kamala, Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom. Uh, and then there's Gavin Newsom will most likely lose. Kamala Harris will indefinitely lose, and Gretchen Whitmer, who of these four I think has the only good chance to win, she's not running, and Biden he's going to keep up with his campaign. That's what he's saying, and yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to say. We just really have to keep looking at uh, how it keeps going for Biden. And yeah, that's it for today's video. Go subscribe to Sami Talks Politics. And yeah,